Hi guys, welcome to this Maya tutorial on how to model a barrel. Okay, so before we start, whenever you load up Maya, if you just want to check up the top left hand corner that you've got the mode that you're in set to polygons. Okay, sometimes depending on like when you last used it or whoever was on it before you, this could be set to surfaces or dynamics or rendered. But for the whole of this tutorial, we will have it set to polygons. Okay, so you just click on this little list and then just click on the word polygons. So with that turned on, what you'll have now is you'll have access to all the modeling tools that we need to use up in the menus. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is just make a basic cylinder. So we want to make sure that we make a polygon cylinder and not a surfaces cylinder or any other type. So two ways we can do this. You can go to the menu, into the polygon shelf. Underneath here you'll have a list of objects you can make. If you hover over any of them, it'll tell you what it is. The other way to do it is you can actually go up to the long menu, so you can go create polygon primitives, and then you've got the same list there. Okay, so whether you want to use the shelves or you want to use the long menu, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use the long menu just because habit-wise that's what I've always used. Okay, so I'm just going to click on create polygon primitives and choose cylinder. You'll be prompted to drag the base on the grid and then pull up for the height. Okay, so I just click and drag. Now this will stay in kind of like a live mode until you let go. So if you're not 100% sure of it, you can still adjust it. And then if you're 100% happy, you can just let go. The next thing you'll get is prompt to drag up to set the height. You just do the same again. Okay, so I'm just going to drag up to about that height. That looks fine. So I'm working inside of Maya 2015, so some of the tools I use will have been in the previous versions of Maya, but they won't have been looking exactly the same. This version of Maya and the last version started bringing a lot more of the 3D Studio Max tools in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on this little icon up here, which is the modeling tool panel. Okay, so you see it's show hide modeling toolkit. And then here's most of the stuff that I need to select or I need to use to work on. So if you hover over any of these, it'll kind of talk you through what you can do. So I want to go into face selection mode. So there's a couple ways we can do this. We can hit on there and do it. You can see there's a shortcut for it, which is F11. Okay, so if I push F11 on the keyboard, face selection mode is now on. Okay. The other way that we used to always do it in Maya was you used to just hold down your right click and then choose face mode. Okay, so whichever way is happy for you. If you push F11, that'll take you into it, or you can click on the icon over here, or you can hold down your right click and choose face. As long as you get into it, that's all that matters. Over here as well, you can see there's an option to turn on the drag select mode, which is what I'm going to do. And now I'm just going to select all the faces on top of this object. Okay, if I spin around, you can see that's all the faces selected on the top of it. From there, what I want to do is I want to just pop down here into the mesh editing tools. So you can see these are kind of the most common ones that you're going to use. So the one that we're looking for here is Extrude. Okay, so if I just tap that, then it already does an extrusion. If you scroll down slightly, you can see here are the options for it. So I don't want it to extrude in the Z direction, so I can turn that off. Okay, what I do want to do is I want it to do a little bit of an offset. Okay, so if I do 0.5, I'll show you how far it goes in. Okay, now once you tick on these, if you click in the actual view space, you can modify it as well. Okay, so this is something that people who use the older versions of Maya will probably be most familiar with. Okay, so just for messing around earlier on, I realized that like 0.18 was a good offset to use. Okay, so from here what we're going to do is we're going to extrude again. So anyone who's used older versions of Maya will remember that your last used tool gets assigned to G on your keyboard. So if I hit G, you can see it does it again. Okay, so slightly annoying. So I'll just undo that just to show you again. The other way of doing it is you can just hit extrude over here. Okay, the advantage of doing that is it keeps you in the tool and we can still change these settings. So Again, with this one, we don't want any offset, so I want to set that to 0. What I do want is I want it to go down slightly in the Z direction. Okay, so I just want to pull that down there. Okay. Okay, so around minus 0.15. Right, that's that done. The next thing for us to do is we're going to put in a division that runs along here. Okay, so for this we're going to go up into Mesh Tools, up in the menu, and you've got an Insert Edge Loop tool. What I want you to do is just click on that. Now this is kind of the same as when you make objects. It won't commit the change until you let go of it. Okay. So what you want to do is click on a line that runs opposite the division you want to put in. So I want to put in a division that runs across the object kind of sideways. It horizontally cuts through. So I will click on a vertical line. Okay. And all I want you to do is just slide up until you're happy with it. Okay. Now this tool can be quite annoying. So the best thing to do is click on a bit of empty space and then click on the red arrow up the top left hand corner. Because basically what will happen is that tool will stay selected, and you'll be trying to do other stuff and you'll still just be putting in loads of edge loops repeatedly. Okay. So what we're going to do is to switch back into our face select tool, which is F11 on the keyboard, or up here in our modeling toolkit, or we can hold down right click and choose face. Okay, so there are tons of different ways to do the same thing in Maya. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to select all these new faces that we just made with that division. Okay, so just the ones that are horizontal. Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to make like a little lip that comes out from this. So a good thing to do is just after you make a selection, just spin around your model a couple times just to make sure you haven't got any extra faces selected. So what I'm going to do here is just extrude. You can see by default it's used kind of my last sentence. So instead of extruding minus 0.15, I wanted to go the other direction. Okay, so I wanted to actually come out from the model. So 0.15 works out good. Again, you can just click and drag until you're 100% happy with it, guys. There's no real hard and fast rule with it, because we're just learning just a couple of different techniques today. Now what we want to do is use that edge loop tool again for the bottom of the barrel. So remember, it was Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop tool, and same again, I just want you to put in one down there. Okay, and then we're just going to do exactly the same process. So for this one I'll just show you a different way of selecting. So all I've done is I've changed my select tool back to the marquee tool. If I tap spacebar on my keyboard, I come out of this 3D view, and now I've got the option to go into these different views. I'm going to go into one of the orthographic views, so I will go into the side view here. All I do is tap space to make it bigger, and I'm just going to click and drag a little box. I'm going to make sure it sits between these two edges. Okay, because what happens when you click and drag a box, Maya goes, it kind of cuts the whole way through your object, and it selects both sides. Okay, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then by all means use the same way of selecting that we did last time. So here we just want to hit extrude again. Now it's worked out quite nice this time because it's used exactly the same settings. So now we know that the top of our barrel comes out exactly the same amount as the bottom. Okay, so that's our barrel model. The next thing we have to do in order to be able to texture it is we need to create what's called a set of UVs for it. Okay, so in the next tutorial I'll show you how to go through and create a real quick set of UVs, and then the tutorial after that we'll focus on painting the texture for our barrel. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If there's anything I went through very quick, or is anything you'd like to see more of in future, then by all means just leave me a comment in the comments box, subscribe, send me a message. Okay, thanks.